Morning Taste Buds, I'm Chef Michelle Bernstein, and I'm sure you've always thought that we chefs have secrets to making food taste better. Well, we do, and today I'm going to give you some of them on Sofrito Taste, but you've got to promise you won't tell.
This is South Florida. It's where I live and work. I'm Chef Michelle Bernstein. South Florida is more than sun, sand, and sea. It's a lifestyle of fashion, sound, culture, and of course, food. Food with taste from all over the world. Join me as we celebrate the food of South Florida
And the people who love it.
Join me as we experience Sofrito Taste.
Good morning Taste Buds, and welcome to Sofrito Taste here in the Goya Kitchen at JA World in Coconut Creek. In my career, I've learned some great secrets in making food taste better. Well, stay where you are because I'm about to give you some of them. So raise your right hand and swear you'll keep them a secret. You swear? Okay, let's get cooking. So the first thing you're going to learn is a sofrito. We're going to start out very simply by sauteing a lot of onions, peppers, tomatoes. So let's just go ahead and jump right in. I've got some yellow onions. A lot of people use white onions and red. Totally up to you what kind of onion you want to use. Nice and small diced. The next thing we're going to add in is green and red pepper, bell peppers, just cut up, obviously seedless. And then I brought with me the Cubanelle pepper. This is a delicious pepper and it's really good in sofrito. It's not spicy. I don't know. It just has just a different variant of sweetness. And so I think it's kind of fun to add that little different pepper into your sofrito. Next thing is garlic, just some minced up garlic. We'll add that right in. And I will tell you that not so much the ingredients, it's how much you work it in a pan makes the difference of a good sofrito and a great sofrito. So what we're going to do is we're really going to work these onions and these peppers into the oil. Just keep cooking and keep moving them around and keep working them as much as possible to get out of it the most amount of flavor that we can. Let me tell you a little bit more about the other ingredients we have here. Obviously, I told you we have some chopped tomatoes, which we'll add in a little bit. I brought cilantro. For the beginning part of my sofrito, I'm going to actually focus on a little more of the stem than the leaf. So I'm going to use the leaf later, so I'll cut that off. And this part of the stem, just the beginning of the stem where the leaves kind of start to end and the stem begins, I'm actually going to chop that part, which is my favorite part for this. And we're going to use some of that. Now when it comes to the harder end, I don't really like to use that part, but I love that part in the middle because it has so much great flavor. We also have cumin or comino as well as oregano. Two very traditional and important flavors to this Latin cooking and the base of our Latin cooking, which will also go into this stew in just a few minutes. I don't know what I would do without sazon, and sazon is something that we Latins, we put it in everything. So I'm going to use a little bit of sazon in there. And then finally, it's up to you if you want to use a little white wine. I brought with me some sherry. This is manzanilla. I love dry sherry with a lot of the bases to my cooking. I think it adds just a touch of that flavoring that is so important. So this is really the base of a lot of things. Today I'm going to show you, it's going to surprise you, it's going to be the base to my steamed mussels. A surprising flavor that normally you wouldn't find in a mussel. So the onions are translucent. I'm going to add the oregano, the cumin, those tender stems of the cilantro that I told you about. And the tomatoes. I'll add some sazon. Not too much, and I don't salt it because sazon does have a good amount of sodium. And I actually never salt my sofrito anyway until it becomes a sauce or a finished product. Right now it's still just the base. And now a little bit of dry sherry that I told you about. Okay, come right back. I'm going to keep working this just until it's really, really, really soft. And when you come back, I'll show you what to do with it. And of course, I have other tricks up my sleeve, so don't go too far away.
SoFlo Taste will return right after this.
Now back to the Goya Kitchen at JA World and SoFlo Taste. Here's Chef Michelle Bernstein.
Welcome back to the SoFlo Taste and my show all about my secret ingredients. Our Sofrito is basically done. Look at it. It almost turned into a paste. There's a couple things you can do with it. One, you can blend it because spooning it into soups and sauces is delicious. Two, you can leave it as is and add that into whatever it is you like to make. But today I'm going to show you something a little different. We're going to make mussels with it. So let's go ahead and add mussels. I have a little bit of oil to just get the mussels good and hot. And because we have our Sofrito, we don't have to add in pretty much anything other than some liquid. Now, aren't these mussels beautiful? I got these at Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market. There's stores in Hollywood at 4191 State Road 7. Go to DelawareChicken.com to get all the goods. Or, of course, you can call 954-983-6831. Tell them I sent you. Our mussels are here. Let's go ahead and add a little bit of the Sofrito, which is going to give all the flavor to this, as well as the mussels, of course. I decided to go with coconut milk. And you can either use a little chicken broth, or I brought some clam juice along with me. The clam and the mussel both have so much flavor. So there you have it. So much flavor from the Sofrito added in here. Let's go ahead and close that up and let it steam. This Sofrito freezes beautifully. Put it into some kind of a container that's sealable that will go into your freezer, and it keeps for a really, really, really long time. All right, let's jump into my next recipe that I don't know what I would do without it. It's called compound butter. You can basically put it on everything. Today I'm going to show you how to make a beautiful grouper with the compound butter. But let's make one real quickly, and it's so simple. We have a lot of Italian parsley chopped up. You can chop it really fine or just let the food processor do most of the work for you. Most importantly, room temperature butter. That's what you want. So let's take, and this is a lot of compound butter, and I'm making a lot of it so that you can roll it up and keep it in your freezer. All right, so let's add in the butter. And you can change the flavoring, obviously, in this. It's really up to you. I've gone with parsley straight, but you can also add dill, mint, make it as you wish. I've got some chili flake, some minced garlic, a little bit of minced shallots, a little bit of salt, and then finally lemon zest. I'm just gonna zest the lemon upside down so that I can really see how much zest I give you. All right, so we've got probably about almost a teaspoon of lemon zest in there. Let's close it up. I would always pulse it at first and then let it rip. Make sure that you push down every once in a while. So let me show you what this looks like. And there you go. So let me show you what we do in restaurants when we have compound butter. We take a piece of parchment paper and we place it down, and we take the compound butter. And try to evenly place it on your paper. And then basically you're just going to make a roll. Like so. Tied at both ends, and then what you do is you let it get really nice and cold in the fridge and it gets stiff. And then these you can wrap in plastic wrap and put this into your freezer. So when you come back, I'm going to show you how and what to do with this beautiful roll of deliciousness. And then, of course, we will taste, although I kind of have to because it's calling my name. You can go now, but I'm just going to taste this. But come right back so we can make something delicious with that compound butter. And then, of course, I have a few other goodies up my sleeve, as always. Oh, good.
SoFlo Home Project is coming up right after the food.
Welcome back to SoFlo Taste and my Secrets of Great Taste show. Look how beautiful the mussels with the sofrito came out. I put a little bit of the leaves of the cilantro after I had used the stems in the sofrito, and of course some crispy wispies all the way around it. All right, so let's jump into the next recipe, compound butter. So let me show you one of the millions of ideas that I can come up with using compound butter. So let's go ahead and heat up a pan to cook some fish, and I have some beautiful grouper right here, thanks to Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market. Really beautifully fresh grouper. So we're going to braise this in a pan. Now you never want to add your compound butter too early because we have all these delicious things in it that can burn, like the herbs and the garlic and the lemon. So it will be a finisher for us. We could also just bake the fish if we wanted to and just place a little round of that compound butter on top of the fish as it was finishing, and that would also be delicious. But for today I thought I'd teach you how to make one of my favorite recipes because it's so easy. It's all in one pan and it's just really yummy. So I'm going to season the grouper. Let's go ahead and put presentation side down of the fish. So while I'm searing the fish, I want to jump right into one of my next recipes. And the next recipe is basil oil. And basil oil is not just basil and oil in a blender. It's a little bit more to it. So I'm going to take you on a little ride and show you what we do to make delicious basil oil. So I've got bunches of basil here that you're going to want to pick the leaves from. And I'm using 2 bunches of basil. The more, obviously, is always the better. It becomes more green and more delicious. The other thing I'll be using for the flavor of the basil oil will be a confit of garlic. And a confit of garlic is this. It is garlic that's been cooked in oil, in this case olive oil, on the lowest possible setting, either on a stove or in your oven, until the garlic is just mushy soft but delicious. And then of course you have a garlic flavored oil. So 2 in 1. You've got garlic flavored oil, and of course we're going to do a garlic and basil oil as well. What you're going to need for the basil oil, first you want a pot of water, which we're going to blanch very quickly in just seconds, the basil to soften it, and then of course a bowl of ice water. Before I do that, let me go ahead and check on my fish. Yum. All right. So I'm going to teach you how to do a quick braised fish. So we've already seared off one side. I'm going to pour a little bit of chicken stock, just until about 1/3 of the way up the fish. And we're just going to let that go. We're going to finish it with lemon, capers, and our butter in just a couple minutes. But for now, we're going to ignore it. So for the basil, our water is just coming to a boil. We're going to add this whole thing of basil into the pot. And it'll be really fast. Let's count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then go ahead, and this is called a spider. This thing is great for lifting things out. It's usually used for frying, but I love it for pretty much anything. And I'm going to shut my heat off because that's about it. That's all we're going to use that for. Make sure you cool that off really well, because if not, it will darken the oil. So what we're doing right now is called shocking the basil to stop the cooking process. And it becomes so much more vibrant green after you've cooked it. It's crazy how the color comes out so much more. So then what you'll want to do is take a paper towel and go ahead and place that cooked basil onto your paper towel. All right. Go ahead and gather that paper towel / napkin and squeeze out as much of the water from it as you possibly can. Okay, once you do that, come over here. We're going to place that basil, and you won't believe that this is 2 bunches of basil. Look at this, it's so tiny, into a blender. Then we're going to take a few of these cooked garlic cloves into your basil. And then a little trick, we decided to go ahead and cool the oil so that nothing gets this warm. So we're going to add cold oil, and this is olive oil, to the basil. And let's go ahead and puree. Once it starts getting a little chunky, go ahead and add the rest of the oil. Now remember, you also have that gorgeous garlic oil, which if you wanted to, you could absolutely add that to the mix as well, or you could just hold on to your garlic oil because it lasts for a long time and it's just delicious. So when that's done, you're going to want to go ahead and strain that oil through a cheesecloth, or you can leave it the way it is. If you want it a little bit chunky, it's also beautiful. Just wait till you see it in a little bit because it kind of clears up and it's beautifully green and delicious. Let's come back over here and finish our fish together. So I'm going to cut a little bit of this compound butter. And look how pretty that is. It's just glorious. It has so much flavor in there, all the herbs, the lemon, the garlic. So I'm just going to use the tip of it and place it into the broth. I'm also going to add just a few capers and a nice squeeze of lemon right over the fish. So what our compound butter is going to do, not only impart a beautiful amount of flavor, it's also going to make this so pretty. Make sure you keep spooning it over. Keep that fish nice and moist. This fish is just cooked, and I can tell the way it just wants to break apart, but it hasn't yet. And it's just softened up so beautifully. Yummy. All right, we'll shake that butter and allow it to now emulsify, which, as you see, the sauce has now come together. And we're just going to pour that right over, yummy, the fish. And look how easy that was. And again, if you wanted to just slice right over the top and bake it, you could do that, but you have something so juicy and so delicious. Come right back. I even have more, if you can believe it, coming. So hurry, hurry, hurry. Welcome back to Sofrito Taste. Here I'm finishing up the last of my little secret potions that make your food so much better. So we do have this beautiful basil oil, which, by the way, you can leave in your fridge. It will probably last you a couple of weeks, and it goes, like I said, with just about everything, and the kids will love it. But the last two oils I wanted to show you, one is rosemary oil, and what you do is you place some nice fresh rosemary into a bowl. You heat up a little bit of olive oil, not until it's smoking, just until it's really nice and warm, and you pour it over the rosemary, and you just let it sit. And what it does, it just macerates, and the heat really allows the rosemary to just come out beautifully, and that smell is just so good. So you can either strain that after it cools completely, or you can leave the rosemary in it. It's up to you, but remember, it does get very, very intense as it sits and macerates. And then the other one is kind of fun. It is a Szechuan peppercorn oil. And what I have inside of the oil right now, heating up in peanut oil, is, and of course if you're allergic to peanut oil, I'm allergic to peanuts but not the oil. I'm heating up in the oil, you can use grapeseed oil. I'm using a cinnamon stick, about 3 cloves of garlic, and 1 star anise. And once the smell and the fragrance hit me, I know it's time to pour. So go ahead and pour that warm oil right over your Szechuan peppercorns. And of course you want that to totally cool, and strain that. And then you have these 3 oils. Not only can you mix salads with them, use them as a topper of delicious fish and meat dishes and lamb, my goodness, with that rosemary oil. You can really have some fun with it. Thanks, Taste Buds, for watching today. I love our weekends together. Now remember, your pledge not to give my secrets away, right? All right, I hope you do use them. I guarantee they will make you a better cook. Next week, I'll be welcoming August with arepas, the South American staple. Arepas are unleavened stuffed cornmeal cakes, crispy on the outside and fluffy on the inside. Good any time of the day. I'll be making up a bunch next week on SoFlo Taste. Up next on Local 10, SoFlo Home Project, joining me now is its host, design expert, and the lovely Elena Capra. Hello, Elena. What are you doing today on SoFlo Home Project?
Hi, Michelle. Good morning. Did you know that mid-century modern is trending in interior design? Coming up on SoFlo Home Project, we show you how to incorporate this hot style into your home.
Thank you, my dear. We'll be watching. So, my taste buds, please be smart, be safe, be well, and be vaccinated. I'll see you next week. Goodbye, and good taste. It's a secret.